Hey, David, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, loud and clear. Sam,
Hey, how's it going?
good. How you doing?
Excellent. That's why we already have some attendees on the line here. Just letting y'all know.
Okay, good deal. Do you know what our head count was?
It was around 90, but there were several people who didn't register, so I think they'll show up as attendees. So
Yeah.
and right now I've got me, Bradley, Ashley, David, Mason Garza, Kat, Leanne, Travis Cott. Susan just logged on. Hello, Susan.
Hello, how are y'all doing this morning?
Good.
Excellent.
How are you?
Oh, good.
Well, we appreciate you joining us and helping out with our officer installation.
Oh, you know, Bradley, this is wonderful. I'm so excited to come and participate and join y'all's meeting today. And, you know, one quick question though, how do you, and I just throw this out, just with the officer installation ceremony, I actually conducted Houston branch, their meeting last night, and I thought they had a kind of an interesting or a great little idea. They had, when I asked for all of the officers to basically say, you know, to pledge, you know, if they're, you know, committed,
Yeah.
we said, like, I just say, you know, when I say, if so, please answer, I will, I then say on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, and then all of the officers, you know, took them off of being mute, you know, off the mute setting. And then everyone said, I will, the officers all at once. I mean, it was kind of a fun,
Yeah.
it went fine. I don't know if you want to do something like that or if you want to do something different.
Yeah, Sam probably needs to be part of this conversation. So I'm not sure exactly how this Zoom meeting is set up. You know, usually in the past or the past couple times we've hosted this virtually, we've created a group of panelists that have unmute capabilities and whatnot. So my concern with doing that is that we have some officers that might not be panelists that might not be able to have the functionality to actually say, I will, if that makes sense. You know, we did do a vote at our June luncheon to confirm our new slate of officers. And Sam, I know you're walking around.
I'm here.
How do you recall how exactly did we do that? Did we just have people like raise their hands, or how did that work?
When we did the vote, we asked if they do it in the Q&A portal there on the chat. We asked for Q&A, but some people did it in the chat box. Some people did it down there, but that's how we handled it last time.
Yeah. Would our, you know, people that are attending the meeting that aren't part of the panel, would they even have the ability to unmute themselves and say anything if they wanted to?
No. If anyone who's not a panelist wants to speak, then we have to, they either need to message me or chat me, either one, and then we can promote them to panelists.
Okay. Did you hear what Susan said about, you know, there's a part of this induction where all the officers are supposed to say, you know, I will, or at least be a part of it. I mean, could we do that again through like the Q&A like we did last time? Or, I mean, Susan, do you see a problem with that?
You know, it's whatever you guys want to do, to be honest. This is all flexible. I will say Houston branch, when we did theirs last night, they did not use Zoom as their
Okay.
say meeting platform. They used GoToMeeting, and so they were able to, you know, take them off of, you know, each person could take themselves off of mute and quickly say I will. But that's why I was like, whatever you guys want to do. And if you want me to, I can just say, if so, please answer, I will. And have all of the officers, I don't know if you want them to just, mention that in the chat box, or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Sam, I mean, that seems to probably be our best option here.
Yeah, I'll agree. We can just post in the chat or whatnot.
I agree too.
Or if they want to do the raise their hand, have them maybe do I will in the chat box, but then we have all the members give kind of their affirmation. Maybe you could have them just do the raise, where you can raise your hand or something like that if you want. Just whatever's easiest. Or if you want them just to, I don't know. Do something.
Bradley, they could do the Austin Brand secret handshake and just do this for.
Yeah, you might get some of these too.
Oh my gosh, David, you are too much. Yeah. We're gonna be like, no, wait. Just kidding. I'm totally teasing with you. No, this is like. Yeah.
Hey, Bradley, just checking my audio. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you loud and clear.
Very good.
Oh, can y'all hear me all right as well? That's a good point. Okay, good. And real quick, who is president? Who's going to be taking over for Travis again? I apologize.
So I'm the incoming and Travis is outgoing.
Yeah.
Oh, yay. That's great, Bradley. Okay, great. Travis, you've done such a great job this year. So
thanks, Susan.
this is great. All right. Okay.
Right.
So Sam, are you all queued up with the announcement slides?
Yes, we've got announcement slides in the main program, and I've also sent backups to the illustrious Paul Hahn III and Kat in case a meteor hits my office.
Mm-hmm.
Never know. You never know. Also, we had computer woes one time, so, which reminds me, I need to name Kat as co-host. Boom. Covered my bases. So, got her as a co-host, and then got everyone here as a panelist. Hello, Austin. Looking dapper.
I'll try. It's a big day. It's the first meeting of the year.
That's right. I told Austin we needed him to speak so we could get his sweet baritone voice for the membership.
Hey Sam, I have
a
a question. This is Ashley. Was this I didn't notice yesterday. I introduced my company as the sponsor.
Yes, we'll say we talk about sponsorships generically, and then Travis will segue into introducing you. So that's earlier in the presentation.
Yeah, that's going to be right at the beginning, Ashley. I'll do a quick introduction of your company, and then you can speak about the company for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's pronounced TenCate.
That's perfect.
Okay.
TenCate? Oh man, I'm never gonna remember that.
It's fine. You can say anything you want to say.
All right.
Actually, I put a phonetic spelling in the notes to everybody so that we could try to get it right. So I've already
been very helpful, Sam.
Even in my company, people say it differently, so don't worry about it.
And that brings up a good point. So Susan, just a heads up. So the way we've got our agenda set up here is we'll have Travis kind of give an introduction. We'll have Ashley do the sponsor intro, and then we've got a few announcements we need to run through. And then Travis will introduce you, and then you can be off to the races.
Oh, that sounds perfect. Yeah, I sound like I have COVID cough, but the allergies. My neighbor's been mowing their yards. Hey, well, real quick, I'll do the take y'all through the officer induction ceremony, but then the other item, I assume, are y'all wanting to do the gavel, passing of the gavel? Because there's the reason I was going to ask the presentation. Oh, good, that'll be awesome. Because I've got just a quick, few, two sentences to read, and then you guys can do the official passing. I will say, I think folks are kind of having fun with that, just, you know, with all of us being on these, you know, Zoom calls or Zoom meetings.
I'm going to pass it like this.
So you pass, and then
Yeah, except I don't have one though.
It's too bad we don't have two gavels. I mean,
I know.
I
Did you
know.
not get one, Bradley?
I don't. I'm trying to think if I've got something I can use.
Go get a wooden spoon out of your kitchen.
Yeah,
A hammer, a hammer.
I'll figure something out.
Oh, that's
that would have been pretty cool.
yeah. Great. That's too funny.
Jason Garza, I like the beard. I barely recognize you.
Thanks, Travis. I got to shave this morning.
Well, I'm jealous because this is the maximum extent of what I can grow here. So you're seeing full COVID beard as far as it goes. And I just enabled everyone to share screen, just FYI, so that's important, especially for Ms. Mcmillan.
I'll do a quick test and then stop sharing.
Okay. Lovely.
Looks good.
Ooh, map.
Ooh,
Colorful.
Ooh, pictures.
we're good there?
Yeah, looks good.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
It's scrolling through. Stop sharing.
I'm trying. Oh, did
No,
you stop mine? Okay.
I was testing it.
Okay, thanks.
Bradley, did you find a gavel?
I've got a couple options. We'll see.
Good.
I'm
Keep
feeling
it a surprise.
Hey, everybody on the line, this is Sam Shorter. We're just waiting about 9 or 10 more minutes to get the meeting started, and we have all of our board members, panelists, and presenters here. So if you could bear with us a few more minutes. If you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A or chat, and I'll do my best to answer them during the meeting. Everybody, this is Sam Shorter again. Just waiting a couple more minutes to get started here at 12 o'clock sharp. And we appreciate your patience. If you have any questions, just post them there in the chat room or the Q&A, and we'll do our best to answer those. Thank you. All right. Well, it is the noon hour, and I'm Sam Shorter, your current Vice President of Programs. Welcome to the September meeting for the Austin branch of the American Society of Civil Engineers. We have an exciting presentation today, along with the installation of the new Board of Directors, and so we thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Sam. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Travis Isaacson, and I'm pleased to serve as your ASCE Austin branch president for a few minutes longer. Welcome back from our summer break. We're excited to have everybody here with us virtually, and we can't wait to jump into our fall programs this year. So we have a lot to cover this afternoon, so we're going to get right to it and get down to business. This month's meeting is proudly brought to you by our sponsor, TenCate Geosynthetics. Sponsors help make it possible to support all of our wonderful programs here at ASCE Austin branch and have a reduced rate for our government employees and our students. So at this time, I'd like to invite Ashley Mcmillan with TenCate to share a few words with us. Ashley?
Thanks, Travis. Thanks for having me today to speak, and I'm happy to provide the branch sponsorship as well. So I'll keep this pretty short since I'll be speaking later, and hopefully that will give everyone an insight into what TenCate does. But I note that we're quite an old company, over 300 years old, We're a leader for, first and foremost, the manufacturing of geosynthetics to support your transportation projects. So from roadway reinforcement to steepened slopes, erosion control, filtration and drainage products, we make them, we test them, and then we have personnel like myself and our technical group who work with the engineering community to make sure that we get good installations and good project performance so that we can save costs and resources in the civil market.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, Sam, I think we're going to go forward with our announcements at this time.
That is correct. Again, this is Sam Shorter. Thank you, Ashley. I'll go ahead and give an update here for YMF, and then after this we'll have a few other updates. And so YMF has recently started back their year as well, and they have a new board, and Marita Moya will be joining the Austin Board of Directors. And unfortunately this year the golf tournament was canceled, and so that's a major event that supports a charity called Sammy's House, and it also is the main source of scholarships. And so we look forward to that being held hopefully in spring of 21. If you'd like to participate on the committees, please let us know. And additionally, they'd like to let the membership know that they're looking for the Texas section liaison and also the scholarship committee members. So if you have anybody who fits the bill there, let us know. So I'll now pass to Austin for a government affairs update.
Thank you, Sam. Hello, everybody. I'm Austin Mesterly, and I'm the local government affairs committee chair. First, I'm glad we're holding this meeting today because this is also United for Infrastructure Week. This is a week that works to help educate the American public and policymakers about the importance of infrastructure to the economy, workers, and communities. It is a partnership across the country between business community, labor unions, different associations like ASCE, and elected officials, and has been going on for more than 8 years to make sure that our infrastructure meets the needs for every American now and for future generations. If you are an active social media user, one easy way to get involved is to use the hashtag @United4Infra and tag that in any pictures if you're out on a job site, if you're in the office doing some interesting infrastructure work. Lastly, we are, with all the activity happening on the federal level and with the Texas legislature kicking off at the start of the new year, it's a great time to get involved. So if you know you or somebody else that would like to get interested in Government Affairs Committee, do not hesitate to reach out at governmentrelations@austinasc.org. And that's all I have, Sam.
All right, we appreciate that, Austin. Next up, I have David Matoka, who will speak about CECon.
Hello, everybody. Afternoon. It is the month of September, so I hope everybody's natural reaction is, hey, it's time for CECon, which normally is a true statement. However, like many things in 2020, the actual live CECon had to be postponed or actually canceled, and instead it's gone virtual. And the new dates for the virtual CECon this year is November the 4th through the 6th. And if you want to go to the official CECon website, it's just simply texascecon.org. Registration isn't active yet, but it will be shortly. So I would encourage you to, again, go to texascecon.org and look to register there. The theme this year is Envisioning the Future, and it's going to be a unique event, no doubt about it. First time we've obviously gone virtual, so it's certainly again a not to miss event. So thank y'all.
Thank you, David, and hopefully there'll still be barbecue even though it's virtual. I'm kidding.
Well,
so thank you.
That was a sad casualty, but the Texas Concrete Pipe Association is still a proud sponsor of CECon, and we're still supporting them again this year. Just no barbecue, unfortunately.
Okay. Unfortunate. Have to get it yourself. Well, we appreciate that, David. This is Sam again. I'm going to share some updates here for SEI. The Structural Engineering Institute will be holding their first professional meeting of the year this Thursday at noon. They will receive presentations from TxDOT from the Bridge Division, Geotechnical Branch, specifically discussing large monoshafts, drilled shafts, and drilled piers, and in situ drilled shaft integrity testing. Woo! A lot of words. If you're interested in that, please go to our webpage, and you can find out more about what SEI is up to. And next, we'll have an update from Travis Kotz with EWRI.
Thanks, Sam. So yeah, back on July 31st, we had our annual workshop, this year in a virtual format. Even with the last minute changes and only having a little over a month to pull it all together, we had over 210 attendees. And with it being virtual, everything still went smooth except for one small hiccup at the very end, where ironically we lost power for our host due to a rainstorm in the middle of Saul's presentation on the state flood plan. But we're able to get back in there. We got all finished up and wrapped up. So that was a great conference, and we appreciate everyone who attended. Like many other organizations, we're in the process of transitioning our leadership team. So for the upcoming year, I'll be serving as EWRI's new president, and Sunit Deo will be transitioning to our past president role. Spencer Schneer will be stepping up into our treasurer role. And currently, Sarah Davis is running unopposed for our future president-elect, and Jenna Rowe is running unopposed for treasurer-elect. If you'd like to vote or nominate anyone else, please respond to the email that was sent out last Friday. We'll formally announce our new leadership team along with our chair positions after our meeting on September 21st.
Okay, we appreciate that, Travis. And next, we'd like to hear from Jason Garza about the Branch Continuing Education Conference.
Hello, everyone. Jason Garza with Continuing Education. I just wanted to update everyone that due to COVID, we have gone virtual for our upcoming conference, which will be held October 9th from 8 to 1. Initially, we had a full day, but we decided to have just a morning session have a great speakers who talk about from demographic, project management to the mobility plan update for Austin. And so we'd really like for everyone to join. It's $60 for those that are in the private industry, $40 for students and government employees, and more to come for this week as far as the link and to sign up for this conference. It's a good way to get some hours towards the end of the year for those that are renewing their license this year. So please keep an eye out for this week. We'll have more information for the links. Thank you.
Okay, we appreciate that update, Jason. Now we'd like to hear from Travis and with the introductions for the Board of Directors installation.
All right, so it's my pleasure now to introduce our current ASCE Texas Section President, Ms. Susan Roth, who will be installing our new board. Susan has 25 years of experience in the water and wastewater field, with project experience for both private and government entities, including the Lower Colorado River Authority. So for the past 13 years, she has served as the president of Susan Roth Consulting. Susan works for a number of municipalities, river authorities, and water districts in Texas. And she's also been a very long-term member of ASCE. She's held numerous committee and board positions at both the branch and section level. And she's actually a past president of the Austin branch back in 2003, 2004. And she previously served as the vice president of education for the ASCE Texas section. So Susan does reside here in Austin with her husband and teenage daughter. So please help me welcome Susan. And Susan, thanks for joining us and completing our installation.
Oh, this is great. Thank you so much, Travis. I have to say, it's such a special privilege and honor to get to join you guys today to conduct the officer initiation ceremony. And anyhow, Travis, like you're saying, gosh, I can hardly believe it was back in 2003 that I was president of Austin Branch, and Austin Branch has always held a special spot in my heart. So anyhow, thanks you guys. Let's go ahead and get started today. I have a script to kind of read through, and so I'll guide you guys through the process. Election to a position of leadership in a volunteer organization is an honor and unique responsibility. Your fellow members in electing each of you to your respective offices have given you their trust. They have expressed confidence that you will be able to discharge your various duties with effectiveness and distinction. And as officers of the Austin branch of the American Society of Civil Engineers, you will represent your membership to the citizens of this geographic area. As a civil engineer, you have dedicated your professional and technical knowledge to the advancement and betterment of society. You have pledged to do your best to participate at the highest ethical standards of professional engineering conduct and to serve the public above all other considerations. Do you pledge to uphold the governing documents of the American Society of Civil Engineers and those of this branch? And do you, in the presence of your fellow members, pledge yourself faithfully to discharge the duties of the office to which you've been elected to the best of your ability? If so, please type "I will" in the chat window. And this is for the officers. I think we've got everybody. Okay. And now we call all members of the American Society of Civil Engineers to attention. You have heard the pledge of your officers, or I should say you've seen the pledge of your officers-elect. Unless they have your wholehearted support, they will not be able to fulfill the pledge so faithfully given. Do you therefore promise to support your officers as they guide the Austin branch through the coming year? Will you assist them whenever you are called upon for help in undertaking the various activities they plan? Will you encourage and advise them and refrain from unjust criticism of their plans and actions? If so, please click raise your hand in the webinar menu that's at the bottom of your screen. We'll take a few minutes and do that. Let these mutual pledges be your commitment that the American Society of Civil Engineers may be an increasingly greater force for the well-being of all citizens of the world whose lives are impacted by our civil engineering projects. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, thank you for your participation. As the delegated representative of the President and Board of Direction of the American Society of Civil Engineers, I now declare each of you officially installed into the office for which you were elected. My congratulations and best wishes to each of you. Really quick, before we do the presentation of the gavel, I just want to do a quick shout out. I just appreciate just the leadership. You guys have worked so hard this year, and I just have really appreciated your commitment to ASCE. And I also just want to let y'all know, I hope to see you all at the virtual CECon that's coming up November 4th through 6th. We've got a great lineup of speakers. We have Mark Williams, the Deputy Executive Director for TxDOT. He's going to be giving a keynote address on COVID and also upcoming projects for TxDOT for the state. We also have Kathleen Jackson, Director for Water Development Board, Jeff Walker, who's the Executive Administrator. They're going to co-present and talk about the flood infrastructure funding and also about water and wastewater infrastructure funding and just their programs as well. So I hope you guys will be able to join us virtually. We've got a very high level, sophisticated platform. We've hired a production company to put on CECon this year, so it'll be a little different. I really wish we could have all met in person, but as y'all know, this is kind of the route we all need to take, you know, just to be safe. So thanks again, and let's go ahead and go forward now with the presentation of Gavel. All right, past President Travis Isaacson, will you please ensure the gavel is, you want to hand it over now to President Bradley East. By this symbolic act, the authority and responsibility of leadership is transferred to you and the other new officers. Congratulations, you guys.
Bradley, did you receive the gavel?
Yes, I got it. I have my bling gavel that my kids let me borrow.
I love it.
Very good.
That's awesome. Can we take a picture of our new board?
Oh, the new.
If everyone can like put on their camera, we can do it real quick. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Susan. That was awesome, especially the bedazzled microphone there, or sorry, gavel there. So, all right. Well, let's keep the show on the road, and we'll. 1 second. Sorry. We'll get ready for our speaker. Travis, would you like to introduce?
Yeah, well, so
Bradley?
before I let Bradley take the lead, I'd like to just take a moment and recognize our outstanding board members and committee chairs from this past year. And many thanks to all of you for your service to ASCE. I wish that we could all be standing up together at the Phillips Event Center, but you know who you are, and I appreciate each one of you and all that you guys did this last year to make it a successful year for the branch. So it's now my pleasure to hand over the lead to you, Mr. President Bradley.
Well, thank you, Travis, and thank you, Susan. My name is Bradley East, and I'm honored to serve as your ASCE Austin branch president. First and foremost, I'd like to sincerely thank our outgoing president, board members, committee chairs, and volunteers. Y'all did an amazing job, and everyone stepped up during an unprecedented time to continue to engage our membership. We only missed one meeting back in the spring due to the lockdown, and we were able to transition to hosting virtual meetings pretty seamlessly. And that's an incredible accomplishment, and everyone should be very proud of themselves. So thank you again for all your hard work. So quick COVID update. We have made the executive decision to put a hold on all in-person events for the remainder of the calendar year. We will reevaluate at the start of the new year, but unfortunately there is a good chance that during most of the upcoming 2021 ASCE year, if not all, that all of our events will be done virtually. We'll just have to wait and see. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope I get to see y'all in person come spring. So with that being said, our main goal for the year is to keep you, our members, engaged in this virtual world. As announced previously, CECon and our branch Continued Ed Conference will be held virtually, and both are fast approaching. We encourage everyone to attend both of those events. And in addition to our membership, I've also challenged our incoming officers and committees to engage and interact with our younger student population. We should have some exciting activities in the works. And lastly, we want to recognize that things are pretty tough for a lot of people right now. And we hope to be as charitable as possible throughout the year. So this is typically the time that I present the president's gift to our outgoing president, but full disclosure, I am starting off on the wrong foot. So Travis, your president's gift is being made, but it's not yet ready. My apologies. We will make sure that gets presented to you at the next luncheon.
Sounds good, Bradley. No problem.
Yeah. And without further ado, we have a great speaker for you today. Ashley Mcmillan is a geotechnical engineer with extensive experience providing guidance, design, and planning for complex geotechnical projects. She is the South Central Engineering Business Manager for TenCate Geosynthetics here in Austin. Her expertise is in soft soil stabilization, retaining walls, and excavation support systems. Ashley, take it away.
Thank you very much, and congratulations on your new role to the incoming board and the outgoing board. I've served in many positions with the YMF and the section in Northern Utah, so I know all about how fun and well attended these events usually are, and there's a big relief when you're leaving and excitement coming in, so I'm happy to be a part of this. With Austin, I moved here to Texas in June of last year, so I've made the first full year through and excited about that. So I'm engineering business manager for TenCate Geosynthetics, and today we're going to be talking about using geosynthetics to enhance infrastructure, reduce construction costs and schedules, and preserve natural resources. So I know that we have a wide range of attendees on the call, and I'm not giving you guys a presentation that I would typically give. I wanted to pull out a few key elements involving the selection, design, and use of geosynthetic products to achieve these 3 bullet points on the screen. So firstly, we're going to do a really basic overview, just functions that we usually expect geosynthetics to provide. So we want separation and filtration. So these are how we're going to prevent intermixing of our materials when we're building up from soft soils or fines in the subgrade. And confinement and reinforcement is how we hold that aggregate in place and engage the geosynthetic product itself. So we're usually dealing with soils that are not ideal for building over. High plasticity clays, lots of fine-grained soils, poor strength. They can be moisture sensitive, causing swell and shrink behavior, freeze thaw, not so much freezing here, and then all of these cause load deformation at the surface. So we could see this in pavements as cracking. We see them in unpaved sections as excessive rutting on the surface. So when we talk about using geosynthetics to strengthen the structures that we're building, we're looking to provide a long-lasting structure that will withstand environmental effects and dynamic loading, and we're looking to use economical materials. So keeping construction costs down while giving you a design that's going to satisfy long-term requirements and also upfront constructability. So we're not taught geosynthetics in civil engineering, at least I wasn't in my course. I may have had a very brief intro in my materials course, and there's all different types of products, okay? So sometimes an engineer who's gone through a civil engineering coursework program or works in transportation would have a hard time realizing what the different products are and what functions they provide. There's a lot of them. So in order to enhance our infrastructure, I think because the geosynthetic expertise person is typically way down on the line, I thought what might be useful is just to kind of show you guys what I think is important in being able to select and specify products in order to enhance the infrastructure projects that you're working on. And what came to mind for me is the difference between engineered and commodity products. So if you've heard the term commodity product before, you can look for it. So this is kind of funny. I wanted to show you guys a metaphor with pizza the other day, but I must have been really hungry because I was trying to come up with a really nice looking pizza and a really bad looking pizza, but all the pizzas on Google looked good. So I threw that out the window and I said, okay, I'll just stay a little bit more technical. So when we talk about engineered products in the geosynthetics industry, we are actually taking old technologies from manufacturing textiles, things that are used for carpets or for the back of your sofa, and we're making them, we're modifying them and changing their weave and the types of products that we use, the plastics, the manufacturing processes, so that we have stronger products to withstand the geotechnical demands in the field. So if you look for engineered products, ones that you're going to design with, if you look at manufacturer data sheets, you're probably going to see some information about design and performance properties, which is different from index or material properties. So if you start to see these design factors, so things like coefficient of interaction, or traffic benefit ratio, there's probably been a significant amount of engineering design, research, and testing that's gone into making a good quality product to use. So project performance with these engineered products is based on the structural integrity of the geosynthetic. You're depending on that to engage with your soil and the aggregate above it forever, for the design life of your product. It's not just for constructability, it's always there and always functioning, just like we put rebar to reinforce concrete. A difference between engineered and commodity products, when you compare equivalents, so as an engineer, you go through, you design with a product, someone comes and says, I want to use this other product. You shouldn't compare an equivalent based on index property. You have to compare them on performance properties, or you need to go back to the design and design with the new product. So they're not all the same. Just because product A has the same tensile strength as product B, when they're put through full field evaluations, they might have different reduction factors that severely impact your design, and you could under design or not have the bearing capacity that you're hoping for. Design assumptions should be confirmed at time of install. So I think this is very important to note. A geotechnical report was done 4 years ago, but you get out to the field and you have soft soils, and you give me a call and you say, hey, Ashley, what can we implement in the field to fix these soil conditions? And you give me a geotech report from 4 years ago, which could have been conducted in the summertime during different site conditions. So geosynthetic installations are sensitive to the conditions at the time of install. We need to check soil strength, moisture content, your site layout, construction activities, what type of compaction activities are going on site. And a simple example of this, I know probably we don't have a ton of geotechs on the call, but CBR in percent is how we can quantify subgrade strength of soil. And as CBRs go up, the soil is stronger. So we're looking at here of a range of 0 to 30 CBRs. I'd say typically we're stabilizing CBRs that are less than 6%. Well, we're looking at a chart on the screen of the CBR versus the saturation period in hours. So we're going to take a sample and we're going to soak it and we're going to test for the soil strength again. Let's just pull out one example from that chart. Soil sample number 1. Its unsoaked CBR is 18%. This is strong material. This typically is not going to require geosynthetic stabilization or any other treatment of the subgrade to withstand normal construction loads. If that became saturated over a period of 24 hours, that CBR, the strength nearly cuts in half, okay? And as it continues to be saturated, after more infiltration of water, as moisture content builds up, we can get a CBR as low as 6%. Now we're in the range where we're gonna need stabilization. So if you're out in the field and it's been raining, it's very important to transmit that into actual quantification of strength in your design so you can select a section that's going to work. Sometimes if I work with you or other manufacturers, I might even give you a wet weather section and a dry weather section. So if you go out there and it's raining, here's a section that you can achieve your compaction in. Okay, last one. When we're dealing with engineered products, if there's a high risk, if you have a low tolerance to surface deformations, if you're building a critical infrastructure component using geosynthetics, I would highly recommend verifying material conformance through independent testing. So you order the material, it is sent to site. There should be some measure taken to make sure that the material that was delivered to your site is in fact the material that you intended to use, because the range of strengths and the functions that these products provide can vary greatly. Commodity products. So these are kind of our everyday materials, and this is probably kind of where the geosynthetics industry started from. Like we did have some products that were used for strength, but now we use geosynthetics to address more challenging geotechnical conditions. But when we think about commodity products, they're important. I'm not putting them, under the mat here. They're typically specified to provide a specific function and not necessarily for a specific strength other than to withstand damage during installation. So when you look at a data sheet for commodity product, what you're gonna see are values like grab strength, okay? This is a big key to you. If you're building a roadway over soft soil and a product that you're reviewing as a field engineer or as the civil engineer, if you start to see words like grab tensile strength, CBR puncture, these relate to commodity products. They're not really ones that you design with. We need to also make sure that you consider the soil type, even when you're selecting these products. So for example, for just a simple separator fabric, if we have high fines content in our soil, we might change our mind about what type of product we want to consider. And this is difficult without having all the samples to show you. But of course, we have products that are more resistant to clogging, or they have more resistance to installation damage. So we want to evaluate the project even for selection of the commodity products. And I say this is important because maybe you say like, well, we're just throwing this down in a temporary access road, or, you know, we just need to separate the soils and we don't really care how the product functions. Well, if you don't specify geosynthetics properly, you don't know what the contractor is going to select. There's so many steps in between the first time a geosynthetic is considered for a project to when it actually goes in the ground. So there's products like slit tapes, okay? They're the oldest geosynthetic, and their specification gets copied over and over and over again. And the problem with them is they don't allow water to pass through them. So they are made from flat tape-like yarns that are pulled closely together. And if you can imagine, hopefully you can see in this picture, if you were to take a big square of it and pour water on top, it's just gonna pond on top until you have enough pressure to push it through. If you flip that upside down, we're causing saturated soils underneath these products. So even though it can separate, it can't let that water flow through. And these are just kind of these old principles that get used over and over in the industry with specifications that don't get updated. So the slit tape specification really started to work its way into the civil market in the 80s, because silt fencing and subsurface drainage and separation, they were all lumped together by ASHTO as separation products, but they didn't consider water seepage through the product. So they don't dissipate pore water pressure. And I think this is a perfect example to just remember that you need to know what you're specifying. You just have some basic product knowledge. There's lots of resources out there for you. So every manufacturer has people that you can reach out to, even if you just want to double check, like, hey, I'm building a French drain. Is this the right type of product to use? And so know who your local resources are and feel free to use them. And then always be thinking about, what does this product have to do? And even just, I think all of our websites are getting really sophisticated and going through and teaching you about if this is, the right product to use for the right application. So for enhancing infrastructure, I think that's what everyone on the phone could do, is just know the basics, or at least know who to call, or picture geosynthetics as a structural part of your system, not just as a material that's being put on the ground. They are designed for strength and for long-term performance. And then in order to show you how we can reduce construction schedule and costs and preserve natural resources, I put together 2 case studies that I've worked on in my region. So I have a pretty big one outside of Texas. I cover Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Tennessee. So, and then how we can preserve natural resources on these projects as well. So I think case studies are, better for this type of setting than going through lots of charts and data. So one project I work on was the Chico solar farm in Arkansas. This is Arkansas's largest universal utility solar center. And it's by NextEra and Entergy Services came together in a joint venture. And it had pretty crummy soils, if you can see from the first picture that's on the screen. So this is located in Chico County, which is in the southeast corner by a town called Lake Village. And when this is completed, it's going to home 350,000 solar panels that will power about 20,000 homes. So a lot of times when energy projects, TenCate, we work on a lot of energy products, wind, solar farms, they purchase very affordable land. So with affordable land, of course, becomes challenges. So specifically for this one, the land that they're building the solar farm on is old rice fields. So cultivated rice is extremely sensitive to always being in a soaked state. So on top of this region of the United States getting a lot of rain, prior to this being a solar farm, the farmers were flooding it, and they have all these irrigation channels going through. So this doesn't make a very nice type of setting to build things like construction offices and access roads, and they need all of the pile driving equipment to get out onto this 825-acre site. So during the first couple of months of construction, they got so much rain that they were actually thinking of, changing their mindset to constructing the site off of floating barges. The rain let up a little bit, and we were able to go in and do a geosynthetic reinforced platform design for them for their roads and their staging areas. They had a lot of fat clays, so those become very problematic when they're wet and sticky and hard to work through. A very low subgrade strength, 1.5% for CBR for the geotechs on the phone. And they really wanted to minimize how much rock they have to bring in. So typically when you have soft soils, you might do one of three things. You might dig out all the soft soil and fill it up with engineered fill or high quality aggregate. You could chemically stabilize given the soil conditions if it's the right type. It is hard to do lime or chemical stabilization of fat clays, or we can use a mechanical type of reinforcement like geosynthetics. So we went through an unpaved road design. This is following Giroux-Hahn methodology, okay, where we calculate the required thickness of aggregate over a stabilization product so that we can maintain the load and limit the bearing pressure that's put on the soft soils. So it came through here. We didn't have very high loads here. So on a lot of, say for a wind project, when we're moving wind turbine components, we have crane pads, those loads get up pretty excessive, and we have to look outside of this design methodology. But we fit into the constraints of Giroux-Hahn, and we were able to do address a solution that provided separation between those high plasticity clays and the rock they're bringing in, filtration to manage the water flow, hold that rock in place, and strengthen the section. So when I go through geosynthetic designs, it's going to look something like this. You're going to calculate an unreinforced thickness. So you don't want to use geosynthetics, bring in 16 inches of rock, or you can use a high strength product to strengthen up, to reinforce that rock section and reduce the amount of import aggregate. And these can be very, very cost-effective systems. So we ended up selecting a solution for this project that saved them about $500,000, so 38% cost savings to treat sections like this. So I'm going to show you a couple of areas that weren't treated and then a couple of areas that were treated. So when they go in and install these solar panels, eventually in between the panels is just going to be vegetated. They don't need a road system to continuously access the site. So they didn't stabilize these areas. It proved to be a little problematic because eventually all of the equipment that was driving the panels on its tracked feet were dragging all that sticky clay up onto the roads and kind of dragging the structural aggregate off of the road section. But look at the soil conditions they were dealing with here. Like this wasn't fun. I went to this right before COVID hit, and I'm not sure if I've cleaned my construction boots off yet. I'm pretty sure they're still sitting in the garage. So they had a lot of rain, a lot of saturation, and now start to look how the road section sets up with just one layer of a geosynthetic and 7 inches of aggregate. So they got some pretty nice looking roads out there. After we do overlaps with geosynthetics to maintain continuity under the system so you don't have an opening. If you have an opening, you kind of lose that separation function because you have intermixing of that clay and then your road aggregate. And here, look at just adjacent to the road that wasn't treated and then the road that was treated with pretty minimal aggregate cover to get them moving over this site. So on top of cost savings, I already showed you this with a 38% cost savings, reducing the project costs for stabilization from 1.3 million down to 840,000. We also have a big environmental impact. So a lot of times when they're purchasing this land that's very affordable, haul distance of rock becomes far. So just by reducing that thickness of 16 inches of aggregate down to 7 and bringing in the geosynthetic, they were able to cut the number of trucks required from 382 down to 167. And they also reduced their CO2 emissions into the air. One more I really wanted to show you, because it's kind of in our backyard here, was a research project that we did on State Highway 21, just outside of Austin. And if you took a look at the geological map of Highway 21, it's all high plasticity clay. So this was a road widening project that we worked on with the DOT. And what happens when you have expansive clay damage on roads is that moisture migrates into the subgrade, which causes differential settlement or differential movements within the soils. They heave during wet seasons and they dry during dry seasons. Okay, so we kind of get this effect where we get these very severe longitudinal cracking at the edges. It's actually fine to get settlement. We can have the whole road go up and the whole road go down. But when we have moisture coming into the side of the roadway there and collecting, it causes all of this differential movement due to the weakened soils. Here was the investigation that was done to select the test sections for this study. They, of course, aim to look at the most severe sections. So if you can imagine, they're going to widen this road and not change anything about the way it's constructed. They are going to get the same exact edge cracking at the side of the road there as well. The DOT had a very extensive pavement remediation section here. So there's different types of aggregate fill, there's cement treated base. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse, but if you can, there's 2 layers of geogrid that tie the old section into the new section, which is pretty common. What we were focusing on was this non-woven separator fabric under the road widening portion of the road. They were going to use a non-woven fabric, which looks pretty similar to a felt, if you don't know when you're on the phone, like a thick felt used to separate the fines and allow water to flow through. So that's when they come in here and bring their embankment filled, we don't get intermixing at this level. Well, we said, instead of using just one type of product, the industry has come a long way since manufacturing non-wovens. Can we look at other engineered products that can provide more than separation and see if they can help with limiting or eliminating surface cracking at the top of the road? So we instrumented the road widening portion with 5 sensors in a vertical row so that we could know what's going on with moisture content under the road widening section. So here's kind of a close-up of this non-woven we've been talking about. Then we said, let's use a product that has some more strength. Of course, if you introduce strength to a section, it should help with deformation. We used 2 different generations of woven products, one that deals with water better. It has a higher flow rate. And then our 4th product was the newest product that we have come up with as a company, which also has the ability to remove and normalize moisture content. So it's like putting an Under Armour shirt under your roadways. The blue nylons in the product actually attract and move water through capillary action. So now not only do you separate, filter, reinforce, you can also reduce moisture content under your roadways, which if you're a geotech, that should be pretty cool to you, because you know that moisture in our roadways is probably what causes the most severe effects for potholes, for cracking, for the need to go in and do partial or full remediation. So the idea behind this system is that whether you have infiltration from the top or coming up from the bottom, this product will intercept it and pull it out under the roadway. So we would have to actually take it and terminate it into an area where the water could release. It works off the idea of relative humidity. So the relative humidity in the ground is higher than the relative humidity in the air. So through capillary action and pressure differential, the water is essentially squeezed out of the system so that we can control moisture in our roadways. Okay, so back to the test study. We put all these products in. This is great because they were in 500-foot segments, which is so great, is because it's common that someone will say, yeah, you can have a test section, but it's 50 feet. So when we do test sections, we love it to be long enough that the vehicles can traffic up and have their entire load distributed over and traffic off of the test section as well. So they were all installed pretty similarly here. And then of course, we're gonna place our aggregate base. I wanna note here what I just told you with this moisture reducing product. The edge of it should have been terminated into a pipe or a ditch. It wasn't, it was buried in place, which didn't have a negative impact on this project, but probably the effects of moisture movement would be greater if it was exposed. We come in and we compact the base layer, and then they're gonna come through and put their asphalt pavement on here. So to recap, all of the products are going to separate, all of them. They're all separation geotextiles. Everything but that non-woven is going to provide reinforcement. The non-woven is just not strong in tensile strength. And then there's going to be a hydraulic benefit added by the H2RI with the ability to move moisture around. So this is pretty cool, the conclusions of the study. Now, again, for the non-geotechs, controlling in our roadways is so important to the performance that we're looking to achieve. So actually what we found after several months, or maybe 18 months of monitoring this section, was that the H2RI product, the moisture reducing geotextile, it significantly decreased the spread of moisture content in those sensors. So the way this works is it actually picks up moisture from high moisture content pockets, it moves it on those blue nylons, and it redistributes it into pockets of low moisture content. So now what you would see at the surface of the roadway is total settlement and not differential settlement, because you don't have pockets of high moisture content next to pockets of low moisture content. If you're having a hard time thinking about how this might work, I would give you a simple example of if you spilt water on your desk and you used a paper towel to clean up the spill, but you just dropped the paper towel flat on the spilled surface. That water goes up into the paper towel and it wants to move to the drier areas. We're doing that with H2RI, but we're directing the flow of water because we have the yarns installed in only one direction. So the first report that came out by the University of Texas at Austin, it identified this test to be highly successful. And so far there's been no shoulder cracking in the section with H2RI. And if you think of that, the schematic of all the layers in the road, we actually wouldn't expect to see any cracking so far. So right now we rely heavily on the reduction of spread of moisture content, and we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer to see how it actually impacts the top of the roadway surface. Yeah, there is no shoulder cracking with H2RI, and the research shows that in order to prevent shoulder cracking, equilibrating the moisture content beneath the geotextile is extremely effective. So that is what I had for you today. Every time I present to ASCE, I love to give maybe just a minute or two to either participants who are just starting their civil engineering career or to younger members who are transitioning to the section. The GI has been a huge help to me in my career progress. I understand, I don't think there's a local GI section in Austin. So the mission of the GI is to address challenges in the geotechnical community and enhance the profession. So it really does a great job at mentoring younger members, and there's a lot of scholarship opportunities through the GI. Of course, ASCE has been great, and I have been a longtime member and board leader for WTS, which is the Women's Transportation Seminar. I'll do a quick plug for them that they actually have their virtual scholarship and awards gala next Thursday evening, September 24th. So you could Google WTS Heart of Texas chapter if you're interested in joining there. And I love TRB. I'm really sad to see that it was moved to a virtual platform this year. So it'll be the first time I'm not spending my birthday in DC since 2012. So thank you everyone here for the opportunity today. I know it was a lot of information, but hopefully you leave thinking of some project you've worked on where geosynthetics could have been a solution, or some project you're working on where they could be a solution that you may not have considered them before.
All right, Ashley, thank you. We're going to open it up here for a question and answer period. If anyone has any questions, please type them in either chat or Q&A, and we can respond. I found that very informative, and I did not know the difference between an engineered product and just a commodity product, and I feel smarter now. So also, I don't know anything about this, so I will call Ashley if I have a concern. I do not see any specific questions, so we appreciate your input, and also anyone who's interested, if we get enough members who want to sustain it, we could support a geotechnical institute. So if anyone in the audience feels so inclined, it's a lot of work, but maybe well worth it. So with that, we'll go ahead and end, and go ahead and pass it on to Bradley, I'm sorry.
All right, well, thank you, Sam, and thank you, Ashley. That was a great presentation, and thanks to everyone that was in attendance today. At this time, I would like to ask our outgoing membership chair, Colton Fisher, for today's head count.
Yeah, we had 59 was the max we got.
All right. Well, thank you, Colton. And that concludes our luncheon agenda for today. We look forward to seeing everyone next month on October 20th for our next luncheon. We will enjoy a presentation from LCRA exploring their environmental science and zebra mussel research. So anybody that enjoys our lakes in the Austin area, that should be a good one to sit in on. So thank y'all. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you next month. This concludes our meeting.
To everyone.
Hi, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, Susan. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thanks for the opportunity. It was fun.
Definitely. Thank you, Susan, and thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, Sam.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, thanks, Sam, for all your hard work. You're a master when it comes to
only out of
the
necessity.
logistics of this.
So let's see, no Q&A. Well, no, appreciate it, and glad to pass the duties on to Paul Hahn. And I would like to say I'm going to relax in this year, but I don't see that happening.
Well, President-elect is a good position to somewhat relax, so take advantage of it.
All right. Well.
All right, sir. Well, I guess I'll head out of here, but thank you again, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right. Appreciate you. Thank you, Bradley.
All right. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
If anyone's still on the call, wants a copy of Ashley's presentation or contact info, you can just email me or give me a call. My information's on the website. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this meeting, and I hope that everyone has a great rest of their week, and thank you.